Characteristics of radiopharmaceuticals. Technetium-99m labeled radiopharmaceuticals. Basic principle of technetium-99 labeling involves the reduction of technetium-99m7+ to an oxidation state that binds to a chelating molecule of interest. Most kits are commercially available for routine clinical use. Kits contain the chelating agent, stabilizers, and a reducing agent in appropriate quantities. If in doubt about the volume limits, expiration times, and temperature requirements, you need to check the package insert. Expiration of technetium kits is usually 6 hours. Technetium-99m sodium pertechnetate. It's eluted from the moly to tech generator in a saline solution. The solution obtained is tested for moly and alumina breakthrough. Aliquots are used to prepare different kits. Shelf life is 12 hours after elution. The pertechnetate is used for thyroid imaging and Meckel scan. Technetium-99m MAA. The MAA stands for macroaggregated albumin. The macroaggregated albumin is prepared by heating a mixture of human serum albumin, which is HSA, and stannous chloride or tartrate in acetate buffer for 30 minutes. Particles then washed with saline to remove any free stannous ions and resuspended in saline. The number of particles per vial varies from 1 to 12 million per milligram of aggregated albumin. The shape of the particles are irregular, and the sizes range from 10 to 90 microns with no particle larger than 150 microns. The continuation. Kits stored at 2 to 8 or 20 to 25 degrees Celsius before labeling with technetium-99m. Vials need to be brought to room temperature before reconstituting. Let kit stand for 2 to 15 minutes for maximum tagging. The preparation is good for 6 to 8 hours and must be stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius after made. Before drawing dose, contents in vial should be agitated gently. The agent of choice for lung perfusion and venography imaging. The DVT is lower extremity. Technetium-99m phosphate radiopharmaceuticals. They localize in the bone. The most common kits are MDP and HDP. They are composed of chelating agents and stannous ions. Weak chelator therefore tends to degrade with time, producing pertechnetate impurities in the presence of oxygen and free radicals. To avoid this, more tin can be added. Nitrogen or an antioxidant can be added. Tin is also known as SN. The kit should be stored at 15 to 30 degrees Celsius. The shelf life of about 6 hours after the kit is made. The oxidation state of tech is 3+ for bone kits. MDP kit is good for 6 and HDP kit is good for 8 hours. Technetium sulfocolloid. Acid is added to a mixture of pertechnetate and sodium thiosulfate and then heated up until 95 to 100 degrees Celsius in a water bath for 5 to 10 minutes. The kit also contains gelatin as a protective colloid and EDTA to remove by chelation any aluminum ions present in the technetium-99 eluate. Dispense within 6 to 12 hours after labeling. The particle size varies from 0.1 to 1 micron. The average is about 0.3 microns. Larger particles will be trapped in the pulmonary capillaries. The oxidation state of TEC is 7+, therefore no reduction of TEC is required for this kit, used in liver and spleen imaging and also bone marrow imaging. Filtered sulfur colloid are smaller particles less than 1 micron are used. Use a 0.2 or 0.1 micrometer membrane filter used in lymphoscintigraphy imaging. Technetium-99m albumin colloid. The kit contains HSA, colloid, and stannous dihydrate. Kit stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius before reconstitution. Add pertechnetate to kit and incubate for 5 to 10 minutes at room temperature. Very small particles. They're used in bone marrow imaging, inflammation imaging, and lymphoscintigraphy. Technetium-99m pentatate, which is also known as DTPA. The kits are made up of salt of DTPA containing an appropriate amount of stannous chloride under nitrogen atmosphere. The shelf life of 6 hours after reconstitution. The recommended storage is 15 to 30 degrees Celsius. The oxidation state of TEC is 4+. For GFR measurement, technetium-99m DTPA should be used within 1 hour of preparation because the breakdown may raise the blood background and give an abnormal GFR. If DTPA is used for cysternograms, it needs to be tested for pyrogens after reconstitution due to the cerebrospinal system being very sensitive to pyrogens. Technetium-99m labeled RBCs. The in vitro method, the UltraTag kit. Mixture of stannous citrate and ACD. 1 ml of the heparinized blood is incubated for 5 minutes, and then sodium hypochlorite solution is added, followed by ACD solution. Add pertechnetate and incubate for 15 minutes. The labeling efficiency is greater than 97%. The in vivo method, you inject the PYP mixed with saline into the patient. After 20 to 30 minutes, inject 20 to 30 millicurie of pertechnetate. The tagging efficiency is between 80 to 90%. Certain drugs will diminish the labeling efficiency, which include heparin, dextran, penicillin, and iodinated contrast media. Modified in vivo method is the heparinized saline with pertechnetate already in the syringe is used to draw 3 ml of blood and incubate in the syringe for 10 minutes, gently inverting the syringe. Then re-inject into the patient. Labeling efficiency is greater than 95%. The labeling efficiency for the in vitro method is 97%. The labeling efficiency for the modified in vivo is greater than 95%. In the in vivo method, the tagging efficiency is 80 to 90%. So the best one to use is the in vitro method. Aminodiactic acid derivatives. Originally, radiopharmaceuticals were 2,6-dimethylphenylcarbyl-methyl aminodiactic acid, which is HIDA, and also PIPIDA. So, I'm going to try this again. Originally, radiopharmaceuticals were 2,6-dimethylphenylcarbyl-methyl dimethylphenylcarbyl-methyl aminodiactic acid, which is also AHIDA, and also PIPIDA. They now use Colotek, which is meprofemin, and Disida, which is disophenin or hepatolite. They contain IDA derivative and stannous chloride as the reducing agent. Disida kit is good for 6 hours after preparation. The Colotek kit is good for 18 hours after the preparation. Storage is recommended to be 15 to 30 degrees Celsius. And to note, with both drugs, when the patient has increased bilirubin, the serum level greater than 5 milligrams per deciliter, you must increase the dose. The bilirubin competes for binding sites of hepatocytes more aggressively than the IDA compounds. Increasing the dose helps to overcome this issue. Seretec. Technetium 99M, hexamethylpropylene amine oxime, which is also known as HMPAO. Hexamethylpropylamine oxime. The commercial kits are available. Kit contains hexametazine, which is pure HMPAO, and stannous chloride. Once compounded, must be used within 30 minutes. The conditions of pertechnetate for the Seretec kit. They must not be older than 2 hours after elution from the generator. Must be eluted from a generator that has been eluted in the past 24 hours. The instability of Seretec is due to the high pH after reconstitution, the presence of free radicals, and excess stannous ions. Also, to onset this, a phosphate buffer lowers the pH, and a methylene blue absorbs free radicals are now added. New kit shelf life is 4 hours. Usually used for brain imaging, but if used for leukocyte labeling, a phosphate buffer and methylene blue cannot be added. So, if it's used for leukocyte labeling, you cannot add the phosphate buffer or the methylene blue. Technetium 99M sestimib, aka cardiolite or miraluma. Add pertechnetate added to kit and heat mixture in boiling water bath for 10 minutes. pH reconstituted product should be 5.5. The kit is stored at 15 to 30 degrees Celsius. Technetium 99M sestimib. Good for 6 hours after the formulation. Cardiolite for myocardial perfusion imaging, and miraluma for breast imaging. Also used for hyperparathyroidism. Technetium 99M tetraphosphamine, the MyoView. Labeling is carried out by adding reduced pertechnetate, obtained by stannous reduction, to the kit and incubated for 15 minutes. The pH should be between 8.3 and 9.1. The kit should be stored at room temperature. After reconstitution, it's good for 8 hours. It's used for myocardial perfusion imaging. MAG3. The kit contains a lyophilized mixture of bedietide, stannous chloride dihydrate, sodium tartrate dehydrate, lactose monohydrate. Unlike other kits, contents are sealed in a vial under argon gas, not nitrogen. With MAG3, unlike the other kits, contents are sealed in a vial under argon gas. They do not have nitrogen. The kits need to be protected from light before compounding, and they are stored between 15 to 30 degrees Celsius, which is room temperature, before and after labeling. It's used for renal function imaging. The preparation is you put a needle in the vial to vent, inject 20 to 100 millicuries of pertechnetate into the vial in a volume of 4 to 10 ml. Using the pertechnetate syringe, withdraw 2 ml of argon gas. This introduces air into the vial, which will oxidize the excess tin in order to achieve high radiochemical purity. The vial is placed in boiling water bath for 10 minutes. This must be done within 5 minutes of adding the pertechnetate to the vial. During the water bath, tartrate is formed and bedietide is hydrolyzed. This allows for pertechnetate to tag better to the muriatide ligand. Allow the vial to cool for 15 minutes before injecting. Expires 6 hours from compounding. Things that can cause QC failure of MAG3. Greater than 100 millicuries of activity, greater than 4 ml in volume, Greater than 5 minutes pass before putting vial into hot water bath after adding pertechnetate. No air being added to the vial and not pulling argon gas out. Technetium-99m ethyl cystinate dimer, which is also known as Neurolite. It contains 2 vials. Vial A contains a mixture of stannous chloride, sodium acetate, and mannitol under nitrogen atmosphere. Vial B contains phosphate buffer under air atmosphere. Add saline to vial A to dissolve. Add reduced pertechnetate to vial B. Add vial A to mixture. Incubate for 30 minutes at room temperature. The kit should be stored at 15 to 30 degrees Celsius before and after labeling. Kit remains stable for 6 hours after formulation. It is used for brain perfusion imaging. Technetium-99m dimercaptosuccinic acid, succimer. Each vial contains DMSA and stannous chloride. Labeling accomplished by adding reduced pertechnetate to kit and incubating for 10 minutes at room temperature. When prepared in acidic pH oxidation state of Tech, it is 3+. When alkaline pH oxidation state is 5+. The kit is good for up to 6 hours after preparation. Kits should be stored in the dark at 15 to 30 degrees Celsius. Used for renal cortical imaging with the Tech +3 and the detection of the medullary thyroid cancer using the Tech +5. Technetium-99m glucoptate. Kit contains sodium glucoptate and stannous chloride under nitrogen atmosphere. Labeling occurs when pertechnetate is added to the vial and mixed for 15 minutes. The product is good for 6 hours after formulation. The recommended dose, or the recommended storage, is at 2 to 30 degrees Celsius before formulation and then 2 to 8 degrees after. And it is used for renal imaging. Technetium-99m Technigas is a radio-labeled aerosol which is prepared by evaporating technetium-99m eluate in saline to dry, followed by heating in argon atmosphere. The particle size is 5 to 150 micrometers. Theory suggests salt created by the heating stage, used for lung ventilation imaging. Radioiodinated radiopharmaceuticals. So iodine-131, iodine-123, and iodine-125. The iodine-131 capsule or solution form, the shelf life is 4 weeks after the calibration. The iodine-123 is capsule or solution form. It may contain iodine-124 and iodine-125 contaminants. The shelf life is 30 hours after calibration. The iodine-125 should be stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. The shelf life is 60 days after the calibration. Iodine-125 RISA is a slightly yellow solution which gets darker over time. It measures the blood volume and cardiac output. Iodine-123 or iodine-131 MIBG recommended storage is -20 to -10 degrees Celsius and expires 8 days after calibration. Used for detection of pheochromocytoma is iodine-123, and the treatment of neuroblastoma is iodine-131. Iodine-125 glycol contains 0.9 benzyl alcohol preservative. It expires 35 to 40 days after the calibration and is stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. It is used to measure the GFR. Miscellaneous radiopharmaceuticals. Indium-111 DTPA. DTPA solution added to acetate buffer and heated for 15 minutes. The xenon-133 gas shelf life is 14 days after calibration. The thallium-201 thallus chloride contains benzyl alcohol as a bacterial agent. Its suggested shelf life is 5 to 6 days after calibration. Gallium-67 citrate is stabilized with benzyl alcohol. The shelf life is 7 days after calibration. P32. Sodium orthophosphate is clear and colorless solution. Metastron, which is strontium-89, should be used within 28 days after calibration. The beta emitters so need to use plastic syringe shields. The quadrant with samarium 153 retains its stability for more than 7 days. Cobalt 57 or cobalt 58 cyanocobalamin vitamin B12. Vitamin B12, yeah. Is prepared by growing organisms Streptomyces griseus in a container with cobalt. It is stored in dark at 5 degrees Celsius and the shelf life is 6 months. Chromium 51 is labeled red blood cells. 20 to 30 ml of blood containing ACD solution is added to a kit and incubated in a water bath for 20 minutes and then cooled for 10 minutes. Ascorbic acid is added to reduce the untagged chromium and to stop the reaction. Lastly, it is washed and suspended in saline, used for red cell survival study. Leukocyte separation. The heparin or ACD is added as an anticoagulant. Hitastarch is added to enhance sedimentation rate of anticoagulant. The platelet separation is centrifuged to remove red blood cells and leukocytes, and then ACD added at a 6:1 ratio to blood. Indium-111 labeling. Indium-111 oxidine tends to adhere to plastic, therefore it should be drawn from the vial only immediately before labeling. Indium-111 labeling of leukocytes and platelets. Labeled leukocytes should be re-injected within 5 hours after the initial blood draw or within 3 hours after labeling. Technetium-99m labeling. Leukocytes suspended in plasma or ACD solution, and then the technetium-99m HMPAO is added and incubated for 15 minutes, then washed with plasma and then suspended in the plasma. Radio-labeled peptides is technetium-99m Mag3. Indium-111 pentetriotide, which is octreoscan. The kit contains a mixture of octreotide conjugated to DTPA, gentistic acid, trisodium citrate, citric acid, and inositol. Stored at a temperature below 25 degrees Celsius. Should be dispensed 6 hours after preparation. Octreotide is a synthetic analog of the human hormone somatostatin. Therefore, radiopharmaceutical binds to somatostatin receptors on the body tissues to detect neuroendocrine tumors. PET radiopharmaceuticals. F18 sodium fluoride is bone imaging. F18 fluorodeoxyglucose metabolism of the brain and the heart, detection of epilepsy and tumors. F18 fluorodopa is the function in the brain. F18 fluorothymidine diagnosis and characterization of tumors. O15 water is myocardial and cerebral perfusion studies. NO15 butanol is blood flow measured in the brain and other organs. N13 ammonia, which is myocardial and cerebral perfusion studies. C11 sodium acetate is used for the measurement of oxygen consumption in the heart and brain. C11 fumesanil is a neuroreceptor characterization. C11 methylpyperone is used to determine dopamine 2 receptor density. C11L methanione, detection of different type of malignancies reflecting amino acid utilization. C11 racleotide is used to detect various neurologic and psychiatric disorders. RB82, which is rubidium chloride, is used for myocardial perfusion imaging. That's the end.